Okay, let's go ahead and subtract these fractions. And we don't want to use a calculator. Of course, you want to use that calculator in between your ears, as that's the most powerful supercomputer on Earth. And you need to be extra careful, okay? Obviously, we're dealing with fractions, but in mathematics, anytime you're subtracting values, you got to be on high alert, and I'll explain this in a second. Now, the worst approach you can take to this problem is to be like, you know what, I don't like fractions, so what I'm going to do is get my calculator and turn these fractions into decimals and then just work with decimals. Now, a lot of students will do that. Just pretend that this was a pop quiz or a test question and you weren't allowed to have a calculator. Listen, you can definitely do this, and you're going to need to be able to work with fractions as it's, basically critical. Fractions are everywhere in elementary math, middle school math, and beyond, high school mathematics, college mathematics. So we're going to talk about exactly how to do this problem. Matter of fact, I'm going to show you the correct answer here in just 1 second. Hopefully, you can do this. Put your answer into the comment section if you know what the answer is. And we're going to get to this in just 1 second. But first, let me quickly introduce myself. My name is John. I'm the founder of TC Math Academy. I'm also a middle and high school math teacher. I've been teaching math for decades. And I'm telling you right now, all of you out there can do excellent in mathematics. And I'm especially speaking to those of you that struggle in math. Maybe you think you're bad at math. That's not the case. What you need is great math instruction and clear, understandable, and comprehensive. So if you're at the middle school, high school, or even college level in terms of mathematics, check out my Math Help program. You can find a link to it in the description of this video. Also, if you happen to be preparing some sort of special test, something like the SAT, ACT, GED, ASVAB, maybe a teacher certification exam, something that has mathematics as part of your exam, I have a ton of test prep courses that can help you prepare and pass those exams. If you homeschool, check out my homeschool program for middle and high school mathematics. Hopefully, you have awesome math notes. If you do not, you need to work on your note taking. But in the meantime, you can use my notes to study from. I'm going to leave links to those in the description of this video. And if this video helps you out, don't forget to like and subscribe, as that definitely helps me out. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and show you the answer right now. And let's go ahead and take a look at the solution. All right, so 3/8 minus 7/5 is equal to negative 41 over 40. No need to turn this into a mixed number fraction. And if you got this correct, I'm going to give you a nice happy face, an A plus, a 100%, and multiple stars for being pretty awesome at subtracting fractions. Nice job. Okay, let's talk about this problem here very briefly before we start. Okay, now I said anytime you're subtracting values in mathematics, you got to be on high alert because students forget that, hey, a subtraction situation, you're dealing with positive and negative numbers. So, for example, if I said, oh, 3 minus 5, a lot of students would quickly, maybe look at that problem and say, oh, the answer is 2. Okay. This happens to a lot of people. And if you do this, well, you're not alone. But this is not the answer. Okay. The solution here is negative 2. So anytime you see a difference or subtraction operator, you have to really think, hey, what's the sign of my answer? So really, the best approach here is to think of, for example, this subtraction operator as a plus negative. Okay, so 3 plus negative 5 is, of course, negative 2. If I gave you the question this way, it would be, maybe clear or more clear to those of you, oh, okay, the answer is negative 2. But if you see it this way, you have to stop and think about it. Now, when you're looking at, these, let's go and fix this up, this solution here so we don't confuse anybody. So when we have a bigger number, we're taking a bigger value away from a smaller value, the answer is going to be negative. So looking at this problem, which one of these fractions is larger in its value? Okay, hopefully you can see that 7/5 is larger than 3/8. Okay, so we're taking away a larger value from a smaller value, so we're going to end up with a negative sign. So these are the type of observations you want to be, careful about when you're doing any math problem. Okay, so let's get into the solution here. And what is the deal? Well, we can't add or subtract fractions unless the denominators are the same. Okay, so hopefully you know that. Let's just take a quick example here. So if I have 4/9 minus 1/9, well, because the denominators are the same, I can simply just subtract the respective numerators. So this would be 4 minus 1 over 9, okay? That's because the denominators are the same. Well, here, my denominators are 8 and 5. They are not in common, okay? These are perfectly in common. They're not in common, so we're going to have to find a common denominator. Now, what that means is a number that both 8 and 5 both go into without a remainder, both divide into without a remainder. So if you think of numbers that both 8 and 5 go into without a remainder, there is a ton of them. Matter of fact, there's infinite amount of them, but what we want is the lowest one, okay? We call that the lowest common denominator, and you can see here that the lowest common denominator is 40. Now, there's kind of a great little procedure to find the LCD. I'm not going to get into it in this particular video, but if you need additional not helps, but additional help with fractions, whether it's the LCD, adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, mixed numbers, all that stuff, I have additional videos on my YouTube video, tons of all those different topics, and I would direct you towards one of my courses, probably like my Math Foundations course or my Pre-Algebra course. Okay, so again, if you don't know how to find the LCD, you definitely need to understand that, but we're just going to move forward and assume that you know that the LCD is 40. So what does that mean? Well, it means that we need to rewrite, let's kind of go up here real quick. We need to rewrite each of these fractions such that the denominators become 40. Okay, so we're going to have to fix up these fractions such that they have brand new denominators of the value of 40. Okay, so let's see how we can do that. All right, let's focus in right here. We have 3/8. This is one of our fractions. So how can I turn that 8 down here into a 40? Well, pretty easy. Just multiply it by 5. So 8 times 5 is 40. But if I multiply the denominator by 5, I got to multiply the numerator by 5. So 5 times 3 is 15. So the fraction 3/8 is equivalent to this fraction, 15 over 40. If I told you to reduce this fraction, you would simply go back to 3/8. But the great thing about this fraction now, it has that denominator that we want. So we're going to do the same thing here for 7/5. So how can I turn a 5 into a 40? Easy, just multiply it by 8. So I got to multiply the numerator by 8 as well. So you're going to end up with 56 over 40. Okay, so now I have two fractions. The denominators are 40, and I'm ready to go ahead and subtract these things. All right, so 15 over 40 minus 56 over 40 is equal to 40. Again, we just take our denominators are in common, so we just take one denominator and subtract the respective numerators. That's going to be 15 minus 56. Again, you got to be on high alert here. We're subtracting numbers, so this is the same thing as 15 plus negative 56. So when you do this math right here, you're going to end up with negative 41 over 40, and that is as much as we can simplify. So there you go. That is the answer. Now, a lot of you, let's say you're still struggling with the LCD. Well, I'm going to give you an excellent, probably one of my most favorite little shortcuts in mathematics. This is a major, major bonus for you, and I'm going to show you how to add and subtract fractions without having to find the LCD. Now, this doesn't mean that you can forget everything about the LCD. You need to know how to find the LCD. That's critical in arithmetic, working with fractions, algebra, everything else like that. But let's suppose you're like, you know what? I don't want to use my brain and figure out the LCD. Can I just do this problem more directly? Yes, you can. So what I'm going to show you here is something called, I call it the bow tie method. All right, bow tie. And what's a bow tie? Well, let me draw you a little stick figure person right here. A bow tie is one of these things. Now, some of you out there might be thinking to yourself, all right, this guy's into math. He probably has a bow tie, a pocket protector, all kinds of pens and pencils and calculators. No, that's not, something that if you probably think I was fairly normal if I was walking down the street. But anyways, I wanted to tell you that that is a bow tie. We're talking about this shape right here. So keep that in mind when I show you this technique. We're going to be thinking about a pattern that kind of looks like that. So let's get into this right now. This is a very specific pattern, okay? And what I mean is that I'm going to show you some steps. It's very, very simple, but you got to do it in this exact order to get the right answer. So here it is. So when you're adding and subtracting fractions, you're going to start with the denominator to the right. In other words, this one right there. Okay, you're going to start with that, and you're going to multiply this way. Okay, so that's going to be 5 times 3, and we're going to put that right there. All right, or 3 times 5, same thing. This is a subtraction problem, so you're going to put a subtraction right here. What we're doing is building our numerator. Then you're going to take this denominator here and multiply that way. So that's going to be 8 times 7, and we'll have that right there. This is going to be our numerator. Then you put one fraction bar there, and to get our denominator, super easy. We just multiply the denominators 8 times 5, and there you go. So if you look at this, this should look pretty familiar because this is what we just did. There's 3 times 5, that's 15, minus 8 times 7, that's 56. 8 times 5 is 40. There you go. Same answer, negative 41 over 40. And some of you might be amazed. You're like, wow, that was so awesome. Why don't I know that? Why wasn't I taught that? Well, listen, you don't want to learn math by a bunch of shortcuts, but this particular, shortcut, hack, whatever you want to call it, is awesome, okay? And it comes in so handy when you're doing things with algebra. Let's say, for example, you want to figure out what x over y plus z over w is, okay? So we're adding fractions. Well, we can use that bow tie method. We can go this times this, okay? W times x, we can write that there. xw, for example, or wx, same thing. Plus, I can go this way, right? Y times z over y times w, okay? So there you go. We just added these two rational expressions, fractions with variables, and there is the answer, okay? So, mathematics is, one of these topics that you just have to be focused on, okay? Focus is the key. And one way to know that you're being, you're focusing in mathematics is taking a look at your notes. Okay, that's a great way. So if you're not taking notes, well, that means that you're not focused. You can't learn math by watching someone else talk about it or do a bunch of math problems. You have to follow through and practice, practice, practice. Math is a skill. But hopefully this little video helped you out. If that is the case, don't forget to like and subscribe. And with that being said, I definitely wish you all the best in your mathematics adventures. Thank you for your time and have a great day.